Very close.
Okay. So the yellow table down at the end here, we talked about lots of things, but at the end we didn't get enough time to finish the discussion, but some of the issues that we could come together on better in this county. And one of them that was brought up was diversity, that it's an ongoing conversation that people need to continue to work on, how to get along with people who don't look like you are. And another one was walkability, that our table was pretty unanimous on the fact that Calvert is not a real walkable county. And we would like to see some things that made it a little bit easier to walk to get to things that we need.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sherry. All right, who's the table? Okay, Sue.
We had a really, really good table down here.
Close your mouth.
We have some young folks and some old folks that go back to 1803. So this is a wild conversation, but we all agree that we absolutely love this community, and our strength is diversity and history, and then how do we kind of bridge that? How can we continue to bridge the old and the new, and be inviting and to bring people together? And some of our resources are the library, that, you know, we kind of came up with some ideas for the library. We really see a strength in the economics and the environment, that there's people come to Calvert County because they love the environment. So continually, speaking up for the environment, looking at this ferry system is just a nice way of kind of bringing an economic development that is not, that, you know, can bring some money. School systems are just great when people are fighting over, you know, whose school is best. That's a really huge part of our community, and looking at that in terms of being a bridge to the older folks and newer folks. And I think that might be it. And we all love dogs at this table, and cats as well.
Right, pets. Thank you. All right, I think Joan, you're next.
Okay.
Close your mouth. Yep.
Oh, closer. We had a really rich discussion at this table, and it was fun. It was, we talked about keeping Calvert, that's important. But we also talked about back in the day.
Close your mouth.
Like a rock star, right up there.
Back in the day when children played together, but they weren't allowed to go to school together. And that's still, we stopped the segregation, but the diversity still needs to be talked about a little bit more. And then we talked about Calvert County lifestyle and seeing people you know in grocery stores. And Calvert was the first county to have a volunteer fire department. And one of the things that we discussed is the vulnerable among us, and what can we do for them? How do we get them transportation so they can get to where they need to go or get a job? In organizing people's resources. Calvert County is, and the other, one other thing, it's very friendly, and you see that when everybody waves when your dog is looking at them. And so the big thing I think to take away was it's a wonderful place to live, but it needs more work.
Thanks, Joan. Dusty.
Thank you. So our orange people at the table here had a really rich discussion, and I think one of the best parts of it was talking about examples of people pulling together when they're in adversity. So examples were neighborhoods who pulled together after hurricanes and ice storms. Nonprofits get into that, Farming for Hunger, the Memory Walk, One More Lake, it just goes on and on in the county if you think about it. A lot of great work being done. That morphed into a talk about You know, who are the most vulnerable? The last question in the course there. You know, nice point here at the table that those are typically people who do not feel connected. And, you know, there's a nice example of a member who had observed a theft, or actually video of a theft, and then later ran into the young person who was in the video. He was the star of the video. It just didn't rain all over him. He was very firm and made it clear that that wasn't acceptable. But wasn't on time, didn't report it to the police right away, and as a result, a couple days later, that young person brought back the bike that he had stolen to forward on the field without any further discussion on it. You know, I think other examples of caring for those vulnerable, if you think about it, any number of nonprofits in the county and service agencies do that. I mean, one great example is sitting on the next table, Kit Hadley, who's the chair of the manager of the Calvert Concept, you know, kind of a new effort to position people who would like to get ahead or like to get home for gaining the skills and the wherewithal to take effective action on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be reporting from the Brown folks. So we had a really good conversation also. Some of the things that we talked about was like Calvert to be small. We like the feel of Calvert County. We talked about the beauty of Calvert County. We talked about the lack of financial, as far as money, as far as different opportunities to actually be financially stable here. With some of the young people, we're talking about some of the needs for our young people as far as the cost of housing, being able to afford to come back and actually build, live in Calvert County. When we're talking about vulnerable, we're talking about that our youth are vulnerable if we don't come together to try to make sure that we have opportunities, and they have to see that we are doing this. We talked about the homelessness. There's a huge homeless problem in Calvert County, and it just seems like it's not really addressed sometimes, but we've talked about it, and we know that there are resources here and opportunities that we're trying to reach them. Underemployed. Some of the folks here, they live here or they possibly work here, but they live in St. Mary's because the cost of living is cheaper over there. So trying to make it affordable. We talked about the have and the have-nots. You know, there's a big difference there as far as noticing and making sure that we look out for the have-nots. And it has to be intentional. You know, the community has to speak up, come together to solve some of these problems. We were talking about during the ice storm, how people came together, or when some people had power and others didn't. People would open their homes up and, you know, let people come in. Or we were talking about one person, their freezer, they just bought a bunch of meat and everything was, he was afraid that everything was going to thaw out. So Kip said, look out your window. It's ice out there, just take your food out. But just really making sure that we come together, we communicate, and work together to keep Calvert small and sweet.
Thanks. I'm going to just remind people, you're supposed to pick your favorite thing, but I want to encourage the table hosts to put all the details in the last question of the survey.
Noted. So I'll be brief. Can you hear me okay? Okay, green team here. We all kind of came from different places, and what we really love about Calvert County is just how friendly everybody is here. Doesn't matter where you go, like you don't have that connection to someone in the grocery store quite like you do in Calvert County. So that was the big thing. And then when we were looking at really what our need is, you know, when times are difficult, it's making those connections with people, because the people that are the most vulnerable, whether it's because they're lower on the economic ladder or they're socially isolated, they need us. And so reaching out to your neighbors, as some of the people at our table did during the fires in Chesapeake Beach or during the pandemic, was really the critical step to creating community.
Okay, thank you. And the bathrooms really are closing at 7:15. Oh wait, no, down here.
Okay, the happy table.
Close to your mouth.
Closer. Okay.
Very close.
The happy yellow table. We had a really nice flow of togetherness. And the consensus is that we should do more of what we're doing now, because we get to know different people, strangers who become friends. We're all vulnerable, so they think, during adversity. And that's when everyone comes out to help each other. And we're all happy.
All right, thank you. Oh, who's drinking?
Oh, try to read this thing at the same time.
So the red table talked about
Right
about a
up.
variety of things.
Right up to your mouth.
We talked about what does community mean to you. It could be near, it could be as far away as Haiti.
Somehow it's gotten muted. Hold on. Try again.
We talked about community can be as far away as Haiti. We talked about community can be right next door. What do you love about Calvert County? A lot of people commented about the nature. The chance to go for hikes, the chance to sit and enjoy the water. There's so much to do, and it's very quiet and it's very peaceful in many places in the county. What do you wish for Calvert County's future? We had the comment that for young people there's very little to do. There are school assignments and other things, but times outside of school it's very hard to find a place to do things together, whether for recreation or other programs they would enjoy. We talked about transportation is always a difficulty. One person commented it would be their nightmare if all of a sudden they did not have a car and they live in Huntingtown, and how would they get anywhere to see other people, to get to work, to get to their community activities. We commented that it's wonderful the area buses are free now, but it's a problem of access oftentimes, and people aren't even within walking distance. We talked about the need for affordable housing. For decades, people have talked about the young teachers that come here cannot afford to live here. We talked about the deputies, others cannot afford to have a home in this county, so they go elsewhere. We need to really make an effort to try to improve that. And short-term goal, we'd like more conversations like this.
Okay.
It's not very often that people get a chance to sit together with people that they don't know. We're isolated these days, nationally as well as locally. We have our own opinions. We need to hear a diverse set of opinions and learn from that.
More inclusivity.
And we talked specifically about a topic issue you think we can come together on to make a positive change, working for more diversity, ways like this for people to gather together, that maybe you meet people that are a little bit different from your own background. We talked about that would be a real benefit to this community.
Thank you, everybody.
Hello everybody. We are here with the second orange table, and our conversations echoed very much of your all's conversation. So many of the issues that you brought up are the same. So many of the things that you love about the county are the same. This table really loves fossil hunting, and we had a long conversation about the three geological formations of the bay. But what we really decided was important that we wanted to share with you is that we think that we could come together to provide more support and resources for our youth and our children. And that includes food security, literacy needs, and recreation, including sports and the arts. And we believe that these things are not only really important, but things that we could come together and address. And we'd like to see that happen. So thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. We also represent the brown table, and what we concluded is that Calvert County is worth working for, and that this community has a love for their county that's very unusual to find nowadays. We talked about a lot of different things about, the sadness of not having a town paper, because that kind of pulls the community together. We talked about the different ways that information is moved around and given to us and how we find it. We talked about technology. we also talked about growth, both the challenges and the benefits of it. And, wondered, is there a place for our children here? When we look at the cost of housing and the jobs that might be available, that's something that we want to think about some more. Housing is also an issue, of course, the affordability of it. And we're concerned with the vulnerable populations who are experiencing poverty, not just the homeless people, but also the hidden poverty of people who go to food pantries. And again, because this county is such a great place, it's all worth working on.
Great. Yep.
So we had at this table folks who families arrived before the history of time. We had some who came with base relocation. We came some who came for specific business opportunities, and some for retiring. And there's a common theme which says that they've all decided to stay and find roots here in Calvert County. It's a sense of community that they share, even though their relationship to it may be very different among different families and so on, and different ages. So that was the main theme. They also wanted to emphasize the facilities that we do have, the parks, the library,